Hey everybody. I guess it's been a while, but this is pretty much because of a few different circumstances. I'm going to be having surgery in about a week or so to get my gallbladder removed because of that one instance. So, you know, that's just life. So, what have you. But thanks to everybody who's been giving me support, through the Following the Sun forums or in my comments. So, I really do appreciate all the good vibes. Another thing is that I was volunteering for this event that my pagan group holds about every year, and it's the Witches' Ball and Mystic Market. That's what it's called. And the Mystic Market is held like during the day, and it's sort of like a craft fair where pagan vendors can, sell their wares. It's like, jewelry, candles, stones, wands, jewelry, all sorts of different things. So, that's a lot of fun. And after that, after the market, in the evening, we have a costume dance. And we give out prizes for costumes, and we had a kaleidoscope and music and everything like that. So, that's a lot of fun. One thing I was thinking about, because my sister and I, we've done the decorations for the market and the ball. Since its inception, it's in its 4th year now. But one thing I've been thinking about is, so the sort of decorations that we use, because my sister and I have kind of gone with, since we hold it so close to Halloween, we hold it, or we have it with an orange and black color theme, and we like to use sort of the witchy Halloween kind of decorations, like like black cats and crows and different things like that, that have to do with the stereotypical witch, which is like the pointed hat and having a black cat riding on a broomstick, that sort of thing. And other people, they totally embrace it too. Like a lot of the vendors, were wearing, witchy clothes at the market, and one of my friends too, she had this really pretty pointed hat with ribbons and flowers and stuff in it, and she was even doing like this high-pitched cackling just for everybody, which is really funny. And if you've ever met her, you'd be pretty entertained because she's an awesome lady. But it got me to thinking, because I remember, some people, they don't like the whole aesthetic with the stereotypical witch, because some people kind of view it as offensive, and so I decided to look into it because I wanted to learn more about why people think this way. And I found this one article called, let's see, "Anti-Witch Bigotry Still Popular and Deadly as Ever," and the author is Trey Katnehurst, I believe. I might butcher a name, so don't blame me. But she kind of really summarizes all the negative feelings about that kind of depiction of witches. Because and I'll put a link in the description so you can read the article too, so you know what I'm talking about. But she's kind of going through the whole thing with the stereotypical depiction of a witch, and she equates it with bigotry. And she thinks that, being or wearing a witch's costume is kind of like the same thing as like dressing up in a blackface, or calling a Native American a redskin, or all sorts of like racial and religious stereotypes that we generally eschew. She says that we should be applying the same thing with the depiction of witches, during Halloween. And it's pretty much the same as stereotyping a racial or religious group. And I don't see it the same way. I pretty much just have to disagree completely with her, because the stereotype of the witch, as we know it today, was a complete fabrication. A lot of it done by the Catholic Church. You have back in those days, you had they made up something called the Black Mass. That's like witches perform the Black Mass, which was a parody of Catholic Mass. And they claimed that witches could fly, and witches, had sex with demons and different stuff like that, or were old crones and, caused women to be infertile or miscarry, or, smited crops and stuff like that. I mean, this is made up stuff. I mean, when you compare it with, other racial stereotypes, I don't think it really carries over that well, because, like in the terms of blackface, the idea there was to make fun of black people, or red skin, point out that, oh, you have a different color skin than I do. Or, some of the other things like with Judaism, Christ killer, that's because of, religious hate. Some people believe that the Jews are responsible for Jesus' death. So, and it's a lot different than the fabrication that the Catholic Church made, because they were trying to create this hysteria where, anybody could be accused of being, a witch or a heretic or anything of the sort, an enemy of the church. So they made it up to keep people in control. It's not the same thing as making fun of or denigrating a certain group of people. And, the idea of the stereotypical witch from that time doesn't have very much bearing on modern day witches, or even witches or pagans from thousands of years ago. We never hear of people denigrating Northern European traditions like the Celts or the Norse, with this kind of depiction of witches. The purpose of that stereotype was not denigration, it was a scare tactic to keep people in line. So, bringing it into the modern day, a lot of people, use the stereotype because, that's their idea of what a witch was at the time. And it's not, and it's just used as a decoration, or something that's associated with Halloween and it's supposed to be spooky, scary. But it doesn't really pertain, I don't think, to pagans. It's not supposed to. That's never was its purpose. It was to create hysteria. So kind of people use it as a memory of a fantasy. It's a fantasy. We don't go around saying, well, you can't read Harry Potter because it doesn't have anything to do with witches. And this is the same kind of thing. It's all fantasy. So, I totally embrace the whole, I wouldn't say I embrace the stereotype, but, I take it and I make it into something fun, something humorous, something to laugh about. And we do, my group, my pagan group does that all the time. And she mentioned in the article about, blood libel, which is the idea that, pagans would eat babies as part of their rituals. And she's like, oh, well, baby eating jokes are never funny. You should see my group, because we joke about that kind of thing all the time. It's like on our campouts and stuff, like during the spring and summer. It's like we start camping out around Beltane, and I love camping, so, I love these sorts of events that we have. Everybody's, joking around with the kids, because, it's a family event, so people bring their children. And it's like, oh, if you misbehave, you're going to be the sacrifice tonight, that sort of thing. So it's like, I think the idea here is that, who in their right mind, who with the two brain cells in their head would believe this kind of thing? It's like, I think the Romans claimed that Christians did the same thing, and it's like, who eats babies? I mean, honestly, who? It's just a tactic to, try and dehumanize another group of people. And I think most people can recognize this sort of thing. And in terms also to modern paganism, everybody knows that, the stereotypical witch with the pointy hat and, the green face and long nose, warts and everything is a fabrication. It's fantasy, and it doesn't actually depict real witches, Obviously there are people who, know about the occult and don't agree with it, but it's more along the lines of, well, they're dealing with, darker entities or Satan or something. It's not in terms of, well, they have a pointy hat or nose or whatever. It's more of a theological objection. So, the way I see it, we should laugh about it, take it in, make it fun, make it humorous, and, not have such a negative reaction to those sorts of things, because, it's like, well, when you go and you are saying, well, you can't dress up as a witch, it's a much more negative message to send it out than to, dress up and say, hey, this is just a stupid stereotype. Well, it's not even really a stereotype, once you think about it, because it doesn't describe witches at all. Or it doesn't even try to describe witches at all. It just describes, this fictional type of witch that was, enemy of the church. This imaginary enemy, and not so much, the people that we have today that are part of some non-Christian religions. So, you can't really say that, well, what I would say is, I don't think that the depiction of the stereotypical witch is offensive to me. And, I think it's perfectly alright to, decorate your house or dress up as one, or have you ever seen those decorations with the flat witch that hit the door or the tree? I like those. So, read the article. I encourage you. I totally encourage independent thought. And whether or not you agree or disagree, I'd like to hear your comments. And Synepti, thank you for listening. Bye.